This is episode 4? Episode 4. Episode 4 of our top 20 memories. The memories going, which is quite ironic. Rocky Mountain Cup decider this weekend, the Rapids at Rio Tinto. So I thought we would look back on the 9 previous seasons and of course the 1-1 draw this year. Our memories together of the Rocky Mountain Cup, which in fact was our first game. Our first game together. March 16th, 2013, and that was a 1-1 draw at Rio Tinto. Matt Pickens went up, double break of the arm. Clint Irwin came in for his debut. It has been pretty much Real Salt Lakes, but
but our record hasn't been good, has it?
No, there's been a few high moments.
Yeah. I'm thinking, I was thinking the other day, okay, how many times have we been together? We've won the Rocky Mountain Cup twice now?
3 times. 13, 15, and 20. I think it was Atiba Harris with a goal at home, which I think was the tipping point in that first season. Was the difference, because the other 2 games at Rio Tinto and then the 2-2 draw at Dick's, Jaime Castrione with the equalizer. There's a rain delay, 2-2. So it was that middle game of the 3. That was the settler. But then there'd been some, after 2013, there were some ugly scorelines. I remember it was a 5 or 6-1 at Rio Tinto. There was some shockers, absolute shockers.
Yeah, I don't remember those bad ones. So I just remember the Spindolas, Morales, Beckerman, Nick Raimondo. I remember the physicality of the battle between Beckerman and Pablo. I remember Pablo ripping his shirt off and going after, I think it was Checketts, was it?
Dave Checketts, yeah.
Dave Checketts going after him. I kind of missed that bit of passion, that bit of nastiness. I think I missed a little bit of that.
And did it lose some of that because it became too one-sided?
I figured it would be even crazier the other way. I figured the Rapids would be going in and trying to beat the living out of the other team. But I think it was skill level. When you've got guys like Spindola, Morales, you've got some quality players, and I think it was just very difficult to get on top of them. And it's a hard. If you go back to those games, they were hard. They were blue collar kind of games. They were fighting for 90 minutes. Maybe somebody scoring the 88th minute. So, it's always been fun. It's been fun, and I expect it even more so now because it's 1-1 and it's up for grabs.
7 years ago, I think it's 7 years ago, Monday, the commentary line, which I still occasionally get reminded of.
Oh, the post, yes! Jared Watson is! Jared Watson is! His first goal in Major League Soccer, and that could be the winner!
So yeah, I still get reminded of that goal 7 years on. Then there was some kind of barren years as far as the Rapids are concerned, the back and forth, and it was pretty much dominated by Real Salt Lake. 2020 was something very, very different. The Rapids were going in, having got a hiding here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. And do you remember the social media team of Real Salt Lake had basically put up, it's ours, it's in the bag, because they knew they'd never been beaten. They'd never lost at Rio Tinto. They'd never scored more than 2 goals. And they'd only ever done that once. It was Dylan Cerner had scored the second in a 2-2 draw a couple of years earlier. So the Rapids were heading there. They were without a win. And it was an odd year. Of course, it was a stop-start. There was the MLS's back tournament in Orlando. They went there without a win in 7. And I remember talking to Robin Fraser the day before, and it was like, well, history suggests. He's like, I don't care. I don't care. I'm not bothered. I don't care about history. We're going there. It's a clean slate. And sure enough, nobody, even the most passionate, rabid Rapids fan could have foreseen a 5-0 win.
There's somebody out there that believed that we were going to win 5-0. I didn't. I go like always, 3-1, 2-1, pretty close games. But man, we've had some bleak years. Let's be honest, just not being able to win that cup, and then 5-0. I think I walked or drove home that day from the studio, kind of like, really? Was it? kind of like, did that really just happen? So I've never seen RSL have a meltdown like that. And you can see, I think it was after the second goal, they just collapsed. I think it was with Vines and a few other goals that
Vine
just,
scored, Galvan. I remember Galvan
Galvan.
got a goal.
So it was just, I don't know. They're always weird games. You know what I mean? We're two teams that are similar. The altitude doesn't affect either one. It's just and if you go back to those few games, it's whoever will make that key mistake, that one error could cost you in this game. So again, for me, I just hope it goes back to a little bit more of the aggressive going at each other and just and maybe you're right. Maybe the fact that they won it so many years kind of took the factor of being a big rivalry.
Yeah.
Because it was always a little bit one-sided.
Why is it then, if there has been that up and down in the standings, that the Rapids, it's not been replicated with success in the Rocky Mountain Cup rivalry? As I said, they both play at altitude. There's been seasons where the Rapids have been on paper better, and yet RSL have dominated this head-to-head.
That's a good question. You know, there's certain teams that sometimes you just don't match up well against, and there's other teams that you do. So San Jose, take San Jose for instance, right? Colorado struggles a little bit with San Jose. We've talked about this, and I think it's the same thing with RSL. They're similar. They're built similarly. They're going to run. They're going to fight. They're going to scratch for 90 minutes. And again, I think the difference, go back to a few of the games, one key mental break defensively, one key error, a ball goes underneath the goalkeeper's foot, little tiny things like that. Now all of a sudden you're chasing the games, that makes it a lot harder.
And I remember one year, what was it, 18, 19? Trying to think off the top of my head. Tim Howard. The Rapids went to Rio Tinto, and I'd never seen them as, I'm not going to use the word dominant, as strong, as aggressive as they were in the first 15 minutes. And then remember, Howard raced out of his goal, handled the ball, got sent off, the Rapids down to 10 men. RSL went on to win it 3-0. And arguably, the Rapids started as strong as I'd seen them start in my time, certainly at Rio Tinto. So you mentioned those little moments, those little occasions, and Dylan Powers missed a penalty in the last minute at Rio Tinto. I think would have given the Rapids their first ever win at Rio Tinto, missed the penalty. And I remember Morales was like right in his face afterwards, like, yeah, you missed a penalty, which left a bitter taste in the mouth of most Rapids fans. So there have been moments.
Yeah.
Just the Rapids have not been able to take those chances and those opportunities.
Yeah. It's just a few little, again, mental mistakes, right? I think that's what it comes down to. Can Colorado put a 90-minute performance at Rio Tinto? You're playing against a third-place team. You're playing against your rivals. So, you know, I think the mentality over the last 3 years in this rivalry has made it closer and has changed it a little bit. But again, we'll find out. We'll find out here soon to see what happens at Rio Tinto.
During my time, RSL's roster was probably more consistent.
Yeah.
So, you know, Plata and Beckerman and, you know, Mulholland and obviously Raimondo and those guys. So there was a greater sense of continuity. So there was a deeper entrenched understanding of what the Rocky Mountain Cup was. There was that period, certainly kind of 14, 15, 16, 17, when there was the Rapids had a lot of turnover of players, new players in, players out. And so, you know, they were in for a year or two and maybe didn't fully have that time in camp with the Rapids to understand what it meant. And maybe that, looking at it now, maybe that was an advantage that RSL had. They had a more stable squad, a stable roster that built this resentment and this desire to retain and hold on.
So do we now, right? I think we've had the same roster almost 3 years.
Yeah.
So, you know, rivalry games are different all over the world. When I came into Leon and I realized what their rivalry game was, it took me a little time to understand what it was, because I really didn't know the history of Leon. I went and played there. So I think it takes a little time to understand what it means, what that game will what does it mean to the fans? What does it mean to the club? What does it mean to their club, to their fans? So sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but one good kick from behind in a game, one good elbow to the back of the neck, they'll remember what a rivalry game is. With rivalry, for me, it's a simple rivalry. It's RSL. Now, we'll make that rivalry what we want it to be. If we want it to be certain dynamics of it, we can do that as fans, two clubs, we can make it. They can pump it up, we can pump it up, and we can make it a clash of the Titans. If they downplay it, then the rivalry will be downplayed. So it just depends on what both clubs want. You know, I mean, right now, I think RSL, like you said earlier, has more of that tendency that it's not really a great rivalry because they've won it so many times compared to Colorado. So now it's up to Colorado now to win it back a few times, not allow them to have it. Now all of a sudden you'll see how RSL will react. But in order to be a real big rivalry, it's got to balance itself out. That means Colorado's got to go and they've got to beat RSL at their place and take that trophy back from them and bring it back home to us. So again, I think it's a matter of Colorado winning it a few more times that this is going to build this rivalry bigger.
1 win in 19 at Rio Tinto, 2 in 20 if you include the win against Vancouver at Rio Tinto in 2020. And of course, the big difference, although yes, the Rapids won 5-0 at Rio Tinto, it was 2020 and there weren't fans. So the real deal is when they get to rip off those ribbons and chuck them to the ground, as we've seen Beckerman do at Dick's, and they do it in the Real Salt Lake's backyard.
Exactly. That's what it's going to come down to. So again, this rivalry will only be what we make it be, and that means we've got to win it consistently in order for them to get a little bit more frustrated, to feel the pressure of having to come in and try to win it. We feel that pressure now. Colorado feels that pressure because you win it, you lose it, you lose it, you lose it, you win it. So now I think we feel that pressure of going in there and having to beat them in order to bring it home.
This one's got a little bit more special for us. It was our first game together all the way back in 2013. That is episode 4 as we count down our top 20 memories in our 10th season in the booth. Next up, we're going to look at expansion teams with Orlando on the horizon and look at some of the teams that have come into Major League Soccer during our time together. Till then, bye for now.